Imagine a sport where machines think in milliseconds, where software decides power delivery, where energy deployment is calculated lap by lap, corner by corner. Now imagine a driver who still thinks faster than the car itself. That driver is Max Verstappen. And today we're breaking down something most fans completely misunderstand: hybrid racing. Because while many believe modern Formula One has turned drivers into passengers behind computers, the truth is far more unsettling. In the hybrid era, intelligence matters more than bravery, precision matters more than aggression, and anticipation matters more than raw speed. And that's exactly where Max Verstappen becomes terrifying. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why Verstappen isn't just driving hybrid cars, he's outthinking them. In modern Formula One, every lap is a war between combustion power, electric deployment, harvesting zones, brake energy recovery, throttle modulation, and race-long energy targets. Drivers aren't just racing rivals, they're racing algorithms. Miss one deployment window and your lap is dead. Use energy too early and you're vulnerable later. Push too hard and the system punishes you. This is where most drivers struggle. They react to what the car tells them. Max Verstappen doesn't. He predicts it. From the moment hybrid systems became dominant, Verstappen adapted faster than almost anyone. While others were still learning how energy harvesting affected corner entry and exit, Max was already using it as a weapon, subtly adjusting throttle pressure, steering angle, and braking load to keep the system in its optimal window. That's not instinct, that's calculation. And here's the uncomfortable truth: hybrid racing punishes hesitation. If you wait for feedback, you're already late. The car responds after the moment has passed. Max doesn't wait. He acts before the system reacts. That's why his driving often looks calm, almost boring, while everyone else looks busy. Now let me ask you something. Quick reset. If hybrid racing was easy, why do so many elite drivers complain about it? Exactly, because it exposes weaknesses. Hybrid powertrains demand extreme mental bandwidth. Drivers must manage energy deployment while defending, overtaking, saving tires, watching delta times, and adjusting strategy in real time. That cognitive load breaks drivers. It overwhelms them. Max thrives in it. In fact, his greatest advantage is not speed, it's mental compression. He processes more variables in less time. He simplifies complexity instinctively. Where others see chaos, he sees patterns, and those patterns are where races are won. Watch how Verstappen exits slow corners. He rarely spins up the rears, not because the car is perfect, but because he feeds power in anticipation of electric deployment tapering off. He knows exactly when the hybrid boost fades and he compensates before it happens. That's not visible on TV, but it destroys lap times. Most drivers rely on engineers to guide energy usage. Max treats it like muscle memory. He feels it through the steering wheel, the throttle resistance, the torque curve. His inputs are proactive, not reactive. This is why wheel-to-wheel battles with Verstappen feel hopeless for rivals. Because while they're focused on defending a corner, Max is already calculating energy availability 3 corners later. And yes, that's terrifying. Here's where fans get it wrong. They think Verstappen is aggressive, they think he's reckless, they think he's pushing beyond limits. In reality, he's operating inside the system better than anyone else. Hybrid racing rewards drivers who understand energy conservation under pressure. Verstappen can defend without draining deployment. He can attack without overheating systems. He can back rivals into mistakes without compromising his own lap time. That's not driving talent alone. That's hybrid mastery. Quick pit wall moment. If this breakdown is already blowing your mind, do me a favor and subscribe. Not because I'm begging, but because the algorithm needs love too. And unlike hybrid systems, it doesn't regenerate energy on its own. Now back to the madness. One of the most misunderstood aspects of Verstappen's dominance is how he uses lift and coast strategically. Most drivers treat it as a necessary evil, slow, awkward, uncomfortable. Max uses it surgically. He lifts earlier but carries more minimum speed. He brakes with precision, harvesting energy without destabilizing the car. The result? Cleaner energy recovery, less tire stress, more usable deployment later. That's why Verstappen often looks stronger at the end of stints, even when others appear faster early on. And this becomes even more important heading into the next generation of hybrid racing. The sport is moving toward increased electrical dependency, more complex deployment strategies, and less reliance on brute combustion power. In simple terms, the car will demand more thinking from the driver, not less. Guess who that favours? Exactly. Verstappen's entire driving philosophy revolves around balance: mechanical, aerodynamic, and electrical. He's comfortable with unstable rear ends. He thrives in low-grip conditions. He adjusts instantly when torque delivery changes. These are not traits learned overnight. They're built through years of adapting to imperfect machinery. Now here's the cliffhanger most fans aren't ready for. What happens when hybrid systems become even more influential than aero? Because when that happens, raw corner speed matters less than energy timing. Exit speed matters more than entry bravery. Consistency matters more than peak pace. And suddenly, the field separates. Drivers who rely on instinct without understanding energy flow will struggle. Drivers who overdrive will cook systems. Drivers who hesitate will fall behind. And drivers like Verstappen, they will make it look effortless. Think about his radio messages. He rarely panics, rarely asks questions, rarely sounds confused. That's because his internal model of the car is always ahead of reality. He already knows what the car will do. That's why mistakes are rare. That's why crashes are rare. That's why rivals back out. Let me throw a question at you. Sir, and answer honestly in the comments. Is Max Verstappen the first true hybrid era genius? Or is he simply exposing a gap others don't want to admit exists? Because the uncomfortable reality is this: hybrid racing doesn't level the field, it separates thinkers from reactors. And Max Verstappen is miles ahead. As regulations evolve, weight reduces, electrical output increases, and energy strategies become even more critical, Verstappen's advantage compounds. He doesn't need perfect cars, he needs predictable systems, and he bends them to his will. This is why every regulation reset scares the grid, but excites Max, because resets punish comfort. And Verstappen is never comfortable. He's alert. So when fans say, let's see him under new rules, they don't realize what they're asking for. They're asking for a battlefield where intelligence matters more than horsepower. And history shows who thrives there. Before we close, quick reminder, like the video if you enjoy deep dives that go beyond headlines. It tells the algorithm this content matters, and trust me, that helps more than any energy deployment map. So where does this leave us? It leaves us with a driver perfectly suited for hybrid racing, not because he's fast, but because he's early. Early on inputs, early on decisions, early on understanding. Max Verstappen doesn't just drive the car. He outpaces its logic. And that's why, in an era ruled by software, energy management, and precision, he remains the most dangerous driver on the grid. If you want to see how this advantage could reshape the next era of Formula One entirely, click the next video on your screen right now, where we break down why future regulations might widen the gap even further. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.